Hi, Storm fans. Welcome to episode 5 of the Let's Go Storm podcast. We're going to run through a review of the season so far and preview the KitKing Trophy Final. Realizing we haven't done this for quite a while, so there'll probably be a lot of talk to what's happened earlier in the season. It's Rob and Rishi as normal. Fraz, a shout out to Fraz. He couldn't be here tonight, but best wishes to him and his family. But it gives us the opportunity to introduce a new guest host in Mike Foster. Mike, do you want to tell the fans a bit about yourself?
So cheers, Rob. I think it's my second year following Storm, but it's been a bit of a whirlwind following the club. Got into it, I think the first home game last season. We came down, got tickets through Vanarama, obviously where I used to work, and kind of was hooked. I came down thinking it would be we'll go once, it'll be all right, we'll enjoy it, and we'll do it every now and then. But I've been to pretty much every home game since, and away games just started filtering in now as well. So it's it's proper got under the skin in the last 2 years.
It is addictive. It is one of those things that you look forward to every week. Different from maybe going to sort of professional football and stuff like that, just because of the community feel and the family feel of the club as a whole, and the amount of people that we've met. Me meeting you two guys in the last year or so, just continuous group of people meeting up.
Yeah, I think it's quite addictive, isn't it? Once you start going, we had a very similar journey to yourself, Mike. This is our second season, and it's just a great atmosphere, great vibe, nice people. And good to be around. It's noticeable that we don't have a player guest this week as well. Obviously, we're just a few days away now from the KitKing Final. So the guys are focused or sleeping or resting or preparing for the final. So I'm sure we'll have a follow up to the final, and we'll bring one of the players on as well.
We might not. We'll only want to follow up on the final if we win.
When we win.
When we win, Rob. When we win.
When we win. Yeah. When we win.
Come on.
So what can we say about the season so far then? 22-0 in the league, 33-0 for the season. Unbelievable. I've not, in the 7 years I've been going, I've not witnessed a season like this so far. When you sat down in September, I know we had some unknowns and some of the new guys that have joined and stuff like that, and some of the unknowns around some of the other teams, like Solent losing their whole team and their sort of head coach, what Worthing did by Zaire retiring. What do you guys make of the season so far?
Well, it's hard to find anything negative to say for sure. It's been incredible, really. I think as a fan, just to see, to realise what Mike Darlow was talking about when he was talking about, on that very first podcast that we did about the group of people that they brought together, and how I think they embody the Storm values as such. It's a real close-knit team. You can see we've got threats everywhere. We're far more complex to play against now, I think, and it's just so much fun to watch. They're also, pretty determined and dogged in terms of being able to grind out results. I can think of a few occasions where we've been up against it. The Worthing away game, I think we're 11 points behind in the fourth quarter, and Loughborough, I think it was as well, with a crazy
went to overtime
last second thing. I'm sure we'll get into some of that, but from a season perspective so far, it's spotless record. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Mike.
I think you're right. You mentioned about going back to the first podcast you did with Michael Darlow on, and he was very much talking. I think for me, the big thing that stands out so far about the season, he made a comment in there about the team and the way he does his scout as like a jigsaw puzzle and trying to fit all the pieces in. And he made a comment right at the end where he said the players they've signed is going to allow Sam to pass the ball.
Yeah.
And then to sit here now with 8 games left potentially in the season, and Sam's on 166 assists after 33 games is just, you can see the vision that he said, what he said in that podcast. It's just phenomenal how the recruitment, what they've done to give us the season we've had is just well thought out process.
I also remember Michael saying he'd never grinded for a girl so much as he did for Hakeem. And what a signing what a signing Hakeem has been. Between him and Aaron, there's 40, 50 rebounds a game, some games, and Hakeem's just always in and around both baskets, just nicking some easy points, defensive on rebounds and stuff. So I think if we put Michael on the podcast again, he'd probably reflect on what he said then and said he'd done an amazing job.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting you mentioned about the easy points. I think Hakeem makes it look easy, doesn't he? That work he does. But there's been quite a few games where I've been sat with Max and I've just said, look, forget where the ball is. Just watch what Hakeem's doing, or watch what that player's doing when they don't have the ball. And the work to make that look easy is incredible. It's a physical position to be in.
I think Hakeem, especially for young fans, is such a great player to watch. You mentioned about getting Max to watch him, and I noticed a few times this weekend, doesn't matter whether he sinks one, he misses one, if he misses a free throw or he sinks a free throw, or if he gets fouled or whatever, he just turns around and you see him smiling regardless of what he's done. It doesn't matter what's happened, he's always smiling. He just enjoys the game and he just enjoys being on the court, and that's something we've really needed this season.
Yeah, enjoyment's been a big factor, actually. I think you can see how, they enjoy each other's success. And I don't know if that was always the case, but we decided last minute to go up to the Derby game, and, Taylor was on the bench and didn't come on that whole game. And he was like, jumping around like we were. For every point, every great pass, every three, and I think they really do, have each other's back. It's a different vibe, isn't it, in the group?
Going back to your point, Mike, on Sam and the assists, one of the big changes to effectively the way the starting 5 lineup this season has been Sam moving to point guard, and I think, like Michael said, gives him the chance to pass more, and I think that change has made Sam probably play his best basketball as a Storm player. I can't comment on whether he's played better basketball elsewhere, but definitely in the 2 spells he's had at Storm, he's at a different level this year.
Oh, he's been phenomenal to watch. Absolutely phenomenal. And some of his passing is just, it's just the vision that he's got this season, but he's got the freedom to do it. Yeah.
I think when we sat down at the beginning of the season as well, like, we knew a little bit about Seth from watching him the year before in the USA Select, but was still an unknown. And then obviously the unknown of Aaron. We'd seen some YouTube videos, got excited about watching his YouTube videos, some of his dunks, but the difference to the squad those 2 guys have made as well. Seth from a 3-point perspective, plus he's also good at assisting. And then Aaron is, he's an athlete, isn't he? He's a dunker, he's a rebounder, he carries the ball up from his own half of the court and goes straight through, can shoot 3 points. I think for an unknown, we're sitting here today going, whoa, what a signing,
Yeah, I mean, unknown for us, but obviously Taylor and Mike and all those guys that saw that, saw what he was doing. So again, amazing scouting, and just fortunate to have that connection for Aaron. I think talking about Seth, one of the things that I love about him is his talking on the court is like immense. He's a real leader. Obviously full of ability as well, carrying the ball. All of those things. The shooting is fantastic, but his talking, his constant talking to the team and getting everyone organised, and I guess his raising that expectation of everyone and keeping everyone focused is also real leadership.
Yeah, definitely. I also think one of the positives of this season is how strong our bench is as well, because we can Drew's been able to literally just do a 5-on-5 swap, and because his bench is that strong, it doesn't impact. It impacts the game positively because there's fresh legs, rather than actually, oh no, we've started conceding more points or missing more shots or whatever. Because if Teo was obviously starting 5 last year, Jack's been in the squad for years and years and years, Nick has as well. Then the Bernard at the start of the season looked good till he and Ario's come in and got some important points. Charles, everything he does, defensively and offensively, and Val, when he gets the opportunity to play, is adds value to the squad as well. So having a bench like that where you can go, do you know what, guys, go sit down, you guys come on. If you're the other team looking at that, going, oh, yeah, Taylor's gone off, Batterin's coming back on, and you're like,
I think
what the mindset that gives to the opposition must be, it must really play on their, oh no, what we're going to do now, because they've just swapped everyone out and they're still better than us.
Definitely, I think that was quite big this weekend when we noticed Taylor didn't start, and last season if Taylor didn't start a game, you'd be like, oh, who's starting in his place? But this weekend you see Taylor wasn't starting. It was like, oh, who's in the start 5? And it was like, oh, it's Charles. Oh, quality, fine. There was no worry, there was no concern, because like you say, the bench is so strong, and anybody on that bench could have come in and started in that 5, and would have done equally as good a job as Charles did this weekend, starting both games. And it was just it's great to see that, and even against Derby, just that great effort from us, just one change, and it didn't concern anybody.
I think the Storm graphics team, though, they're so used to publishing here's the starting 5, it's the same 5. They didn't publish that graphic because Taylor didn't start, so it didn't come out for either of the games.
But it's interesting that I never talked about Taylor, but Taylor's what I found was, I think last season, obviously Taylor was our main point scorer, everything in that team, and teams played against that specifically, right? And I think that bore out in the final, and is they've tried it a few other times as well. But everyone's game has come up to Taylor's level, and Taylor's just continued with that incredible level of performance and level of energy, and how he gets the crowd going, and just the quality that he brings on the court as well, which I think was probably borne out in the trophy final, where he just went off like a rocket on scoring, and it was just but he is one of the starting 5 that is such a critical player as well, and has just been continued on his immense form. It's just, I think everyone's come up to that level, and now can share the points around, share the workload around, rather than that that one focal point, which I think is causing a lot of teams problems.
It must make him, you think you'd make him enjoy his basketball a bit more as well, knowing that last season him and Greg, with all due respect to everyone else in the team, last season there was a lot of pressure from the fans and the team to be the two that did everything. But there was 50 points a game from those guys.
Yeah. If we didn't get those 50 points from those guys, then we either lost the game or it was a lot tighter than we'd hoped it would.
Yeah, definitely. And if Taylor has an off game, he's got the other 4 on the bench there that are doing equally a good as job. If he's marked by 3 people, you've got Aaron, Seth, Hakeem, whoever open. So it must be nice for him to just relax and enjoy his game without pressure, which is probably making him play better this season than he did last season. And he was phenomenal last year.
Yeah. Rish, you touched on the National Cup there and Taylor's performance in the final. Probably a good time then to do a bit of a review of the National Cup run and final itself. So it seems a long time ago since it started, but we started off obviously in round 4 in November, beating Bristol Bristol Academy Flyers 102-80. I don't know I can't remember back then who got all the points or all the assists, but And to be fair, Bristol Academy looked a good team as well. They weren't, I think they're in the league below, but they gave a good account of themselves, if I remember right, in that game.
I think that's getting 80 points against us is not not to be sniffed at, is it? It's a good performance. Was that a home game, Rob, or was that an away game?
That was at home.
Okay.
But like you said, some of the NBL teams haven't scored 80 points against us twice this season, have they? Mike, you're normally good with the stats. You got any stats from that game?
Not from that game. I've got a load of stats for you on the KitKing final, mate.
Oh, okay.
So where else was it for the NBL? Who else did we play?
Then we played Reading at home in the fifth round, beating them 106-77. So I think Reading are sick of the sight of us this season, aren't they? Obviously, we'd already knocked them out of the KitKing. We'd beaten them in the league at their place. We've more recently beat them in the league at our place. So I think, and we'll come to it in a bit, but I think that KitKing semi-final at Reading actually was the time when I looked at it and I went, we are really good this season, really good, but we'll touch on that in a bit. And then in the quarterfinal, again, a home game, we beat London Sharks 91-81. That game was a lot closer than we were expecting. But again, another team in the league below who weren't there for the numbers. They turned up and gave a really good account of themselves. And that is one of the few games this season where we've not got to 100 points, isn't it? And then again, whereas I remember like when I first started going, it's like the fans were going, we want 100, because it was just like, it wasn't like as often. Whereas now we have conversations now that go, disappointing we didn't get to 100, isn't it? So that's the way sort of the quality of the team and the squad have stepped up, and make us almost disappointed that even though we still won the game, we didn't get to 100. Whereas before it was like, oh wow, we got to 100, yes, so for a team in the lower league to turn up and stop us hitting 100 when like Reading, I think we've had 100 points against in all 4 games. And then we played it again at home in the semi-final. So we fortunately got home games all the way through this. And we beat Milton Keynes Breakers, who are 2 leagues below us, aren't they? 98-93. Obviously, we didn't know an awful lot about them. Blaine Freckleton, that played for us for a season a few years ago, he played for them. Gave a good account of himself that night. But another team that we didn't get 100 points against, and the biggest away following that I'm aware of has ever been in the Storm Dome. It was unbelievable how many people were there that night. And that, Milton Keynes team looked like they're going places. They're obviously putting a bit of money into it and stuff. And the London Lions, when it moved from Hemel Royals to Hemel Watford Royals, then moved to Milton Keynes, didn't it? So there's obviously in Milton Keynes, there's obviously some interest in having a decent basketball team.
Yeah, it looks like
I don't know what you guys made of that.
Yeah, it seems like they're building a real program there. That was a close game, actually. That was one of those edge of your seat. Didn't feel like we were. They were always in it, weren't they? It was a really, really close game.
Yeah, they just didn't go away, did they? It didn't matter what we did. They just didn't go away. They said they brought a big following, and all their big following got to watch Sam make one of their players, which was an incredible moment.
one of the moments of the season, no doubt about it.
But it was just an incredible game, and we knew they were going to be good. The way they started the season in D3, and I think they've won the league this weekend, didn't they? I think. I think I'm pretty sure they won D3 this weekend. So to see them there and what they can do, I think if they manage to keep their core players, they'll be a D1 team in 2 seasons' time.
That'd be great as well, because to be honest, the atmosphere that night was just awesome. So it'd be great to get a game at their place. Take our travelling fans up and get them back as well.
Definitely, the atmosphere. I think MK and TVC at home are probably two of the best atmosphere games this season.
Yeah,
for sure.
and TVC away. So yeah, it'd be good to take, like you said, take our following up to MK, give us a different away venue to have a look at as well. We like to compare away venues when we go there. So yeah, so then it was on to the final. So we played Derby in the final in Manchester. That was a Sunday afternoon game in Manchester, wasn't it? And we won 102-81. And like you said, Taylor Johnson MVP, 41 points, I think he got. Considering in the playoff final in April, he deserved MVP, and Cole Gentry got it because Solent won, I think. And also, we've been in the playoff final for the last 2 years, haven't we? And then also we were in the playoff final in 2018, and we've not won in any of those in Manchester. So, and then I had the superstition of moaning that we were playing in orange because we'd only won cup finals in black. So that's gone as well now. So what a day out. First win in Manchester against a very good Derby team. It was quite close for some time, and then we just pulled away. What did you guys make of that day?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, I'd say Derby are a good team, right? They've got some really good players. They're a good side, To beat them is a mark of how good we are. The whole going on the away days to finals is a quite a new experience for me as the other sport that I follow, which we won't get into. But it's been really it's great. The whole coach journey up and the banter with everyone and getting there. And I think although it's frustrating that we kind of our finals on the Sunday, I kind of see why they do that structure with the NBL, because they've got the junior games and the women's games as well and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the end of a thing is the men's final. Again, a brilliant atmosphere. They brought loads of fans. It was really a great noise and atmosphere in there, and obviously the performances were great from the whole team. I think, a deserved MVP for Taylor with those the number of points and the performance and the way he led the team. It was something we're hoping is repeatable on this weekend as well.
Hopefully, yeah. And it will be. I think the Derby game as well for me was, I think if I remember rightly, I might be wrong, but I think we were 1 or 2 points down at the end of Q1 as well. And then to come back the way we did and have the ability in the last 2 minutes of the game to make 5 changes, and Cavell being one of the ones to get on and play a couple of minutes in the final and be that far ahead was just impressive, especially when you see what Derby did in the BBL trophy, knocking out Plymouth and the run that they had. They're an impressive side. So to beat them comfortably 3 times this season it's just it's a remark of, again, how far we've come.
It was so good to see Taylor get that MVP though, because it felt like it was just a delayed award from the playoff final. And out of all the guys in the team, if we'd have wanted someone to get it, it was him. And the best players step up on the big occasions, don't they? So that's 2 finals he's played in as a Storm player. He's been exceptional.
And the teams that seem to be able to try to stay with us for a bit, but they just cannot do it for 4 quarters. I think that's they definitely were able to stick around for that first quarter, wasn't it? But we're just able to keep that level of performance, and how hard we work when we're in defending as well. I think is a new thing for Storm, is how solid we are as a unit when we haven't got the ball.
What I also thought was good to see is, obviously, it was mid-Jan or something, wasn't it? The amount of Storm fans that went to Manchester on a cold Sunday in January. A little bit different from going to the playoff final in April, and there was only like a week or so's turnaround after the semi-final for the club to get the coach sorted and everything, for us to get sorted that week ago and stuff. So the normal brilliant Storm following went up to Manchester that day and did the club proud as well, didn't
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very different to KitKing, where it's like, 3 month wait from semi-final to the
Yeah.
final or whatever it is. But yeah, very fast turnaround, wasn't it? And yeah, as you say, everyone was well up for getting to that final.
The one disappointment from that final was that they couldn't take the trophy back to Hemel because it's too old.
Yeah, I think we were allowed to take it home for 5 days, weren't we? But you're allowed it for 5 days, but the insurance and the money to transport it is just through the roof, isn't it? Because of the age of the trophy.
Yeah. It's bizarre, really, when you think about some of the other sports where they just I don't know, in football, the FA Cup's been remade probably 50 times or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess it's where the money is. It's a shame though, because I remember 2018 that they did bring it back and they had it at one of the home games and the fans could get a picture with it and stuff.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Well, it's nice and special for those that are able to make the trip up, we all got some nice photos with the trophy, didn't we, as well? Sort of in the background behind the barrier. They were a bit militant about, keeping us up as well.
Hopefully we'll get the KitKing Trophy home. Hopefully we can bring that one back with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's a great segue, I think, where you talk a bit about the run to the KitKing, because that was, I was trying to rack my brains about how that had all taken place, because we seem to play loads of KitKing games in a short period of time, and then it's this huge long wait now to the final. So yeah, what you're saying about that run to the final, Mike? What have you got?
Yeah, so KitKing was like I say, it felt like a long time ago. It's almost how the season started, wasn't it? We played the USA Select friendly and then straight into KitKing 8 days later. So yeah, I think our last KitKing game was on the 8th of October, which is a long time ago.
Wow.
Bear in mind, the final was scheduled for the 30th of December, I think, wasn't it? But us and Worthing asked to move it. So yeah, I think
that's
first
right.
game
It was end of the year, wasn't it?
It was end of December, wasn't it? The one thing I remember about the KitKing Trophy is when Michael Darlow was on, he said a lot of teams might be treating it as a pre-season tournament, but Storm wanted to treat it as another trophy there for us to go at. We're going to take it seriously.
Yeah. I think it's the mindset of the guys at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and we definitely did take it seriously. That first game we was at home to Hoods, and Nottingham came not expecting what we were going to do, and I think we won 105-95, which it's only a 10-point win, but it was only the second game with the team as the team as we know it now. I think when I was looking back at the stats, that was the game where we realised what we had on our hands of Aaron. First home game, really, that he played a big part, and he got his first double-double of the season. 27 points and 12 rebounds was just a phenomenal home debut in a game that's not friendly. I think when you look at that, even go on, sorry.
Hoods are normally normally competing at the top of the league as well. A good side. That was a very good early test to get an idea of what the team looked like, what the squad was made of. Like you said there, Mike, getting his double-double, was already said to us, wow, we've got a good team on our hands here.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing, and I remember turning to James and Ben and Kev, who sit near me, and saying, Taylor's had a quiet game today. Is Taylor all right? And then you look back at the stats, and Aaron got 27 points, Sam got 28 points, Taylor actually got 29 points and 8 rebounds in that game. And we're sitting there going, Taylor's had a quiet game today. He got more points than Aaron and Sam. But
it's just interesting when it's shared out so much and it's not so unequal. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that was, again, a standout. And then we went on to the dominant win in the second game against Charnwood, which was 102-52 win. Which was quite nice when looking back at that game. It was a dominant game, but to see how the rotation was in that game amongst the team, and to look at the stat leaders that we had in that game had Bernard and Nick in it, So there was different people, and all the points out of 122 points were spread across everybody. Taylor got 15 points in that game. Silla got 10. Bernard got 6. Nick got 9. So it was a nice even spread in that game, which I thought was a nice moment in the season.
Yeah, that was a big performance, wasn't it? Chalmers were just blown away, really, and we were just so ruthless in defence as well. We just didn't give any points. You can often see games where you're doing so well, and that focus drops a little bit because you kind of it's in the bag, and they just kept it going all the way through, and just I like that little bit of ruthlessness that's in the team now.
Yeah, it's good to not stop.
Chalmers were one of their only 2 teams, weren't they, that were invited in from Division 2, I think.
Yeah.
But it was dominant from Storm, wasn't it? But then it's hard to know how far into their own sort of pre-season and that Chalmers were. I couldn't tell you if that was even their first game or whatever, So, but we definitely blew them away.
Yeah, definitely. And again, to another second game or third game of the season, you count USA Select, and it was another 100 points, and it was 122, which is massive. And then that was the day before we went to Loughborough, the away day to Loughborough on the Sunday, knowing a win would guarantee us a home quarter-final game. Obviously, I remember watching that on the stream. Again, I think we all said in the chat, this could be quite a tough game. It will be interesting to see what we're made of against another potential strong opposition, and we ended up winning 93-62. Obviously, we know what happened at Loughborough earlier in the league season, later on. But to win that 93-62 was again a phenomenal performance. And that was the moment for me where Sam started the run. When you look back, Sam had 15 assists in that game. He only got 6 points, but to come away with 15 assists is phenomenal in one game.
That's awesome. I think sometimes the whole index thing doesn't quite highlight the impact that Sam has on the team. And I think that's a good case in point, isn't it? Where just pulling all the strings, and I remember that as one of the start of that run for him.
Yeah, I also think that was the game where we were like, this will help us show what we're made of. Loughborough away is always tricky, as you just mentioned as well, and we talked about earlier with the overtime win up there. So that to come away with a 30-point win, okay, that early in the season, but again, it just filled you with ongoing confidence of how good the Storm side could be.
Yeah.
And like you said about the index, Rish, Sam and Seth probably aren't on it as much as they probably deserve to be. But that some of that's because of how good the players are that they're playing with as well, isn't it? So
and I think it's the index thing again. It does help to a certain extent. Obviously, we can't see what everyone's doing at the other games, but I think you mentioned Seth there not being on it, and I think Hakeem put on Instagram this weekend, didn't he? When he saw the team of the week, he was like, "Where's Seth?"
Yeah.
So it just shows, and I thought Seth was phenomenal this weekend, but it just goes to show either the standard we've got in the league now, or the fact that index maybe doesn't have a true reflection of everyone's performances.
Listen, it's a system of understanding stats and trying to attribute some values to it, and it has its pros and cons, doesn't it? I think
also we are slightly biased. It should be 5 Hemel Storm players in every week, really, shouldn't it?
There's definitely a strong argument for it. I think.
But after Loughborough, we were guaranteed the home draw in the quarterfinal, which was obviously a nice feeling, and we drew Bradford again. Potentially another tricky game for us. Was frustrating. We finished on 99 points. So the first game we didn't get 100 points in, but we restricted them to 78. And it was also the first game we saw 2 double-doubles, which again has become a theme of the season. Aaron, 24 points, 12 rebounds. Silla got 18 points and 15 rebounds. which is again just phenomenal to see both of them get double doubles. And we were close to with Taylor. Taylor was 1 rebound away from us having 3 double doubles in one game.
Wow, that's incredible. They're a good physical side as well, Bradford. They're good. They've got ability, but they're a good physical team as well. So to dominate that much off the boards is pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, so we won that, and then go on, sorry, Rob.
I was going to say Bradford, watching the league game, the away game on YouTube earlier in the season, they put out a good stream for it. Although their commentator makes some of the football ones sound much more interesting than they are. So that was part of the fun watching that with the sound on. Sometimes the quality of the commentary is not great, but listening to that guy was added to the entertainment.
Let's look forward to his comments if he ever gets a look at our podcast.
I think we're safe on that.
Yeah. So select audience, right?
So we might only get 3 viewers, and there'll probably be us 3 watching it back.
Us 3, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, after that dominant win in Bradford, it was kind of an open draw, wasn't it, for the semis? It was just whatever happened. There was us, Reading, Worthing, and TVC. We drew Reading, but it was an away game, which was our again. We said it a lot going through the season. This could be a tricky point in the season, and we took quite a big following away to Reading, which is a phenomenal venue, by the way. I really enjoyed going to visit Reading. But yeah, 169 we won out winners, so we got back to the triple figures. And Silas again stand out, but not for rebounds. He landed 26 points and was our highest point scorer in that game.
Wow.
So again, it just goes back to what we said, the versatility we've got in the team. The quarterfinal, he's 15 rebounds, but the semi-final, he's gone 26 points. So it's just phenomenal the way it's all spread out.
Yeah, I like getting up to Reading, actually. We've been there, twice now, and it's a nice, accessible away ground, and nice vibe in there. They make a lot of noise, but it's not like, it's a nice rivalry, if you know what I mean. And everyone's pretty cool up there as well. But that was an epic performance. 26 points as well in that position. It's epic.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there thinking, wow, Hakeem's had a cracker here. He was the standout before.
Yeah.
Before that game, I can't remember where it was, but the new venue they're in is much better. But it was that was the point in the season where I thought we've got something special going on here. To go to Reading are always there or thereabouts in from a playoff perspective each season, and to go there and dominate them like we did was the game where you thought this could be a really, really good season.
Yeah, and that was a good performance, being again a semi-final, and just the passion the players. And I think that was the game. I think there was some footage of that game as well, where Taylor got an and one and got pushed to the floor, and he kind of just gives the camera a wink as he's getting up. And it's just little moments like that just show how much they're enjoying their games this season. And like I said, dominant win against a team, like you say, that's always been there or thereabouts. And again, you only look back to what recently Reading went on a 5 or 6 game winning streak before they came back to our place in the league. So that they're a good side.
Yeah. Then who knows, we might see them again, in the playoffs as well. So it could be another interesting battle with them for sure. So that's the semi-finals. That brings us nicely to what's coming up, which is the final against a really good Worthing team. I think we were lucky enough to get to the away game in the league against Worthing, and that was a really close game. I think they were ahead. I think maybe even like 11 points up at one point in that game. Really strong, great team all round. They've got players like Blaine and Moyer and Jackman, and some really really good Aerosol as well, great player. So yeah, and I think they've got it feels like they're trying their best to do try and derail the Hemel Storm machine. So it's going to make the final on Saturday very interesting, I think.
But
they're going to be up for it.
There's that kind of oldish rivalry because they're probably the other team in NBL that are run kind of similarly to Storm. But our first playoff final in 2018 in Manchester, we lost to Worthing in that final. And it's always been quite close between Worthing and Storm when they play. Worthing are always finish like top 4 in the league, don't they? But it feels like, although it's taken some time to get there, we owe them one, and we need to turn them over in the final to make up for that. I know it'd only be like Jack and Darlow that were there then, but to make up for that defeat back in 2018.
Well, I feel like it's important for you, Rob. You've got scores to settle all through the league, haven't you? You've got things to cross off on that board of all those slights in the past. So,
but they're a very good team, and like the final in the National Cup against Derby, it will be a very tough game. It will be close, and it will be defensively will be as or maybe more important than offensively to win the game against a team like Worthing.
Definitely. The league game, I think we were both undefeated at the time. That was a somebody's own must go sort of situation. I think we inflicted their first defeat of the season on them, which was and like I say, it wasn't that was really nip and tuck. That was I think we kind of got 5. I think maybe won by 5 points or something like that. But
we did. Yeah, we won. I think it was 100 to 95. I think we got 100 right at the end, and I think that was the game. I really wanted to go to that game, but it was, I think England were playing in the World Cup same day, weren't we? So I was streaming the game, and I think there was 2.5 or 3 minutes to go, and that's the turning point. Probably one of my favourite top 3 moments of the season was that massive rejection by Charles.
Yeah,
absolutely
I think they fouled Taylor out as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Taylor was out at the time; he was on 5. Yeah. And that rejection, that was huge. And I think we were losing at the time. And then we come back, and I think that just lifted everybody. You could hear the reaction from the travelling fans, and watching it at home, it was a off the sofa moment as well. And then we got
we were all set to go down, and then we were ill, so that was the game I really wanted to go to. We missed it as well. But yeah, I think for all the good offensive play we've had this season, that rejection from Charles was as good, if not better, because it said to the Worthing guys, "You're not scoring in our basket. Go away." And I can't remember who against, but it was a week or 2 later. Charles basically did the same thing again, and it was just like a replay of that Worthing one. But that, if you were watching our highlights video of this season, then that rejection from Charles would be up there in the top 10 highlights, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Without doubt.
It's I mean, it's it's going to live long in the memory. I think it's probably burned into the memory of Ronald Blaine and the Worthing team as well, because that changed that game. But I mean, that was an epic moment, wasn't it? It was like just awesome.
Oh, definitely. And again, it goes back to what we said at the start, wasn't it, about the impact our bench can have. If you think one of the standout moments in that game was a player that was on our bench playing against a team that was unbeaten all season, and if you think, I know Taylor got fouled out, so it was different circumstances, but last season, if we were playing against a team that was unbeaten in the season, would the bench have been on in the last 2 minutes of the game, or would it have been the starting 5? So again, it's just testament to the guys that are on the bench, and they can come on and make a change to a game of that size is just phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's you talk about the recruitment process and how they were hiring the right personalities and the right mindsets, and I think they've hired good people, but with like huge tenacity, love for the game, but actually determination and will to win. And Charles is an immense 2-way player. Yeah, there's by no means any situation where there's a switch out where the team drops in level, which is just incredibly comforting, isn't it? When you can see when they bring people on and the standard just stay right there, it's really key.
And people like Charles and some of the other guys on the bench, they're not phased by being on the bench. They're not like sulking, I should be playing. They're all hyped up. They're Mike, like you said about Rich, it was you about Derby away at the weekend that Taylor was up and jumping. Jack's normally up waving his t-shirt, trying to get Charles.
Yeah. Oh, lost you a bit there, Rob. The fun of podcasting on online. While Rob just gets himself back, I think the other thing as well, he mentioned Jack there just before he cut out. Rob, I think you're there, Rob. I think you're back. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No, he's gone, I think.
He's done something to his audio. But Jack's distribution at Derby, his playmaking was like unbelievable as well. And noticed that range of passing, and saw that at the home game as well on the Saturday. Who did we have before the away trip? It was
what's that?
The home game was a double header, wasn't it? The weekend.
Yeah, it was a double header this weekend. We had Derby on the Sunday. I think it was Hoods. It was Hoods on the Saturday. Sorry,
yeah.
It was Nottingham on Saturday, and when again that was a comfortable win. I think we were 119 points. I think in that game.
Yeah.
And speaking about Jack, that was again. I think Jack absolutely drained one from downtown against Nottingham, which was made for a great weekend for him personally in both games.
Yeah. It's funny, one of the standouts talk about from downtown was it didn't count, but Sam's shot from about just outside their own area as such. So that was way deep, wasn't it? That shot.
That was phenomenal, and it just when you watch I think the club put it on social media this weekend, didn't they, or this week? Sorry, and watch it, but it was just minimal effort. It was very minimal effort. But I'd like to see a bit of a VAR. Did it leave his fingers by the time the buzzer started? Because we could.
It was close. I think looking back, it was definitely the buzzer had gone. But
definitely.
It was. It looked like a shot though, didn't it? Like, as I think if we were having a go, we'd be trying to launch that. It just looked. He looked like he was aiming, whereas
it was. But it was quite funny when you watch it as well, because I think obviously Sam knew that there was. I think Sam knew that it was never going to count, but there was a few players on the bench that jumped up. I think Darlow was stood there with his head in his hands, like in disbelief, and Sam just kind of walked off like he did, like he does it all the time. So I'd be interested to see if there's any clips in training of him just doing that week in, week out. Would be interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are you back, Robbie? Can you hear us? Okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, great. Yeah, we've got you.
My earphones died even though they were fully charged at the beginning. So, where are you on to? Are you on to standout performances now?
Oh no, we were just I don't know how we managed to get where we got. To be fair, we were just chatting away. No, I think we were talking about the performance at Derby, and I think you'd mentioned Jack.
Oh yeah. What they do on the bench is they're not at all kind of, we should be in the team. If we're not in the team, we're grumpy. It's a squad game, and they win as a squad, and they're all happy for each other, regardless of whether they've scored the most points themselves or got the most assists themselves. You see it on their Instagram when, like you said, Hakeem said, why is Seth not in the team of the week, for example? Charles goes on Instagram and crosses out everyone out of the team of the week and the Storm player. It's just
that's my
team spirit there.
By the way, I love that. That's my favourite thing on Instagram.
I don't think I've seen him do that for a couple of weeks though. He needs to get back on that.
Well, hopefully when he doesn't listen to the podcast, then he'll get back on it. We'll tell him to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But but you can. I mean, you can. And what does Sam puts something sarky on some of their things, doesn't like Aaron got I can't remember what it was, but Aaron got say 20 points. Sam would say why wasn't it 21 points or something? It's like
we called him overrated this weekend, didn't we?
did call him overrated, yeah.
But the team spirit there just helps add to the performance, doesn't it? If you're effectively playing the sport you love with a group of friends, much easier that it makes it as a game, and I, although it's happened a lot, one of the standout moments for me is the amount of times that, and some of the teams have worked it out now, but the Sam to Aaron alley-oop works, just having that kind of repeatable move, because you're doing it so often as a group, that that's okay. Some of the teams have now watched the videos and worked it out a bit. So then at the weekend, who was it? Who did we play away?
It was Seth, wasn't it, Aaron?
Yeah, Seth did it to Aaron instead. Yeah. So just, but they look like they love playing together. The whole squad, don't they?
Yeah,
it's different from other seasons, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely expecting it to be a tight game on the weekend. I hope I'm, proven wrong and we have it's nice and easy. But I think it's going to be a tight game against Worthing. They seem to have been posting a few bits and pieces online as well. Kind of.
Yeah, I like that. I did kind of like the poster that they put up this week, sorry, with the chalkboard and the crossed out faces and the question mark over Seth and stuff. I quite like that. Let's just hope Blaine's had some rest though before the game, because he can't perform unless he's rested.
But it also shows that they're desperate to beat us. I've never seen Storm put anything out like that about another team effectively. So I know they're sort of trying to G their fans up and stuff. And Worthing, when they go to a cup final, bring a very good following, very rowdy bunch, love basketball. It's good, it's good banter. Like you were saying about I can't remember who we said about it. I think it was Reading. It's not hostile. It's nice. It's friendly, but there's still that we want to beat you.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's the one of the lovely things I like about bringing Max to it is it's so different to football. In terms of that, partisan and the aggression and stuff like that. It's good natured as well. So
yeah. I'd be surprised if the final the weekend didn't. There was more than a 10-point gap between the two teams.
It's one of those games that could very, very easily be overtime, double overtime. It could go that. It could be that kind of game.
Like Wednesday night, Mike.
Yes, Wednesday night. Yeah, triple overtime. That one, wasn't it? I think
triple overtime. That was crazy. Not quite as high scoring. We didn't quite make the 100 points. They were even between both teams. But
yeah, I think it was triple overtime and it still finished 51-49 or something, which
just good defense. Good defense.
Yeah, great defense. Great defense. Yeah.
One of the other things that's exciting about Saturday as well is actually going to watch Storm play at a BBL venue. I know we're not playing a BBL team, and it's really disappointing we weren't in the BBL trophy this year, because I think, given Derby got to the semis, we'd have given a very good account for ourselves in that. But all the finals are normally in Manchester, so to actually go somewhere else to watch a game, sample another arena, another environment and hopefully an environment that we may be in at some point, is exciting as well.
I couldn't agree more. I think I think hopefully they continue the BBL, and if we can secure a top two, we can have a run at that.
Was it top four, isn't it? Is it top four qualify for the BBL if they do it next season, isn't it? I
thought it was top two, but I might be wrong. It might be four.
I think, I'm not sure if it changes at all. But you have to be invited in as well, I think, don't you? Because Solent could have been in it, I guess, but weren't for some reason. But
they got to the semi-final a couple of years ago, didn't they? I think it Worthing were in it this season as well, didn't they? But they first round against London Lions was a tough draw for that. That was, but again, an experience.
Well, we were
Yeah.
the first time we were in it. It was during COVID, so no fans, and it was away at Cheshire Phoenix. And then I think it was the next season, we were then away at TVC, which is a bit disappointing to some degree. If you wanted to go away to London Lions or away to Leicester Riders or somewhere, not someone who you play 3 or 4 times a season already, sort of thing. But we've not got through over those 2 games, but you do feel like this season was unfortunate that we weren't in it.
Yeah, I'm talking about Surrey. I'm so glad that the KitKing guys saw sense in moving the venue from wherever it was, Leicester or something, to something Leicester, much more accessible for the 2 southern teams. I think it was it's a good move for them. I think that speaks volumes for the KitKing guys as well, because I think it's going to make the day so much better. So many more people will go.
Yeah, well, I think it's nearly sold out, isn't it? Very, very close to being set up. And I know there's quite a few neutrals going as well. I know, obviously, Chris Hughes from Rebounds going. And there's a couple of people that I've started following on Twitter and stuff that are either Surrey fans or fans of BBL teams that are saying they're going to the game and talking about it. So it's going to be it's going to be an interesting game for everyone, I think.
The one negative might be that if someone Surrey's coaching staff or scouting network are sitting there watching, that might not help us next season. But they'd be silly not to be doing that, to be fair.
Yeah, if you see anyone, Mike Darlow's got anyone by the throat, you'll know that's their scouting group, right? Yeah, I think the big thing though is who's going to win the water slide race, Mike. There's they've got so we're going to a water park on the way to the final, and they've got a really fast water slide called the Cannon, and it records your speed from when you start to the end, and it's something like 6 seconds. And it's just like, it's crazy. It's good fun. So we're going to obviously have a competition so you can get down that the quickest.
I mean, I am 19 stone, Rich, so I'm going to fly out of those traps, mate.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, you'll have some momentum, mate. I think you're in.
That's what I mean. As long as I can take a run and jump on that slide, I'm gone.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. So, yeah, no, it should be a great day out, I think. And, yeah, can't wait for that atmosphere in the stadium.
One of the other things is that Amy wanted me to say on here to remind Michael Darlow that he said, because it's her birthday on Saturday, he's going to use that as his team talk to make sure that one of the ladies that sells the raffle tickets isn't disappointed on her birthday. So, Mike, if you're listening.
And it's nice to see 5th podcast in and you're still dropping the raffle ticket hint there, Rob, as well.
Yes.
I still haven't seen you buy one, Mike. No, I'm joking.
You have done, because you saw my failed certa shot.
Mike has stepped up and taken the shot. What happened when didn't one of your family win the ticket, Rob? And did they ask you to step up and take the shot?
No, they didn't want me to. They did. They had no faith. But then the person that stepped up to take the shot, the ball's still out in the car park somewhere. Yeah. So they may as well let.
Got to put your foot down next time, man. Got to put your foot down.
We definitely need a rule in the group next season that if your name's drawn out, no passing it, you've got to take it. And that goes for children as well. Because Spence had a go. Darren's son Spence had a go, didn't he? And that was fair play.
Yeah, Max for sure will take it if he gets it.
Nick had a go, didn't he? And the ball's circling the orbit somewhere, but.
Nick needs to win it. The amount of tickets he's buying every week. He needs a return on that investment.
I know that's why he's not why he's not playing with us on a Wednesday. He just waits to the end of the quarter and he just sits there draining threes in preparation. But I think we briefly mentioned about favourite moments of the season, but I think my biggest regret of the season was going in on Nick and then drawing my own name out 3 weeks later and missing by a country mile as well. So that was fun.
To be fair, he's a man that it had some great reactions to moments in the game, but his reaction to your miss, Mike, was
I know. I think I was stood there. and I was bouncing the ball, and every time I bounced the ball, all I could hear was Nick shouting, "Don't miss, don't miss."
I think we need to have a chat with Dan Laurier as well, because when it wasn't one, it used to roll, so the pot would get bigger each week. I know it was one on Saturday. Callum hit the 3. He's done it 2 or 3 times this season on behalf of people, wasn't it? But we need to. It's not really worth taking the shot unless it's rolling and it's like $1,000 in 10 games time or something, really.
Well, I did speak to Dan actually Wednesday, and said, just for a laugh, every now and then we should try you can increase your pot if you do it from half court or something like that. So there could be some good fun stuff coming next season with that.
But I wouldn't take that if I was you, Mike, because you didn't get near the ring from the 3-point line.
We were having a go at it on Wednesday. A few of us hit the shot, didn't we?
We did. It was good fun. Yeah, but I haven't seen you try it yet, Rob. So we'll have a look.
Yeah. Big talk when you ain't going up there. Awesome.
Yeah. So thinking back across the season, obviously we've talked about the quality of the whole squad this year. We've had Aaron's been NBL Player of the Week 7 times. Taylor's been it once. Aaron's been in the Team of the Week 11 times. Taylor 6 times. Hakeem 3 times. Sam twice. And then you're like Hakeem said at the weekend, Seth wasn't in it. Seth's not been in it. And you think how well he's played, or how well some of the guys have come off the bench and played. But to think that one of our players has won it 7 times in a season, and we're not even finished that season yet, is exceptional. And that Team of the Week last year, I remember we talked about it in the summer when we signed Hakeem, that Hakeem and Taylor were in the Team of the Week nearly every week last year. And now you've got Aaron in that mix, and Sam's been in it a couple of times, and that just shows that regardless of what we think of the index and the metrics, but the recognition of what the Storm players are achieving is coming through on that.
Yeah, 100%. I think on the weekend, Seth at Derby, I think he got 15 points in about the first 4 minutes. I think he hit
he flew out the traps,
4 threes in a row straight off. He's just came flying out the blocks. The whole team did actually to put that game, put them to the sword really early actually. But I mean, standout performances, it's almost impossible to pick one out. I think the whole season's been so good. Everyone's been so good. It's a tricky one. There's definitely been some memorable moments, and I think we talked about Charles and the block off the boards against Worthing. I think that was away. I'm sure he's done that at home a little bit as well. I think there's 2 that really stand out for me. So I'm going to claim them quickly. So you have to think of something else. But one is the Breakers and Sam nutmegging that player, which was caught beautifully on camera, and maybe we'll chuck a clip of it up at the end, when we edit the podcast. But it was that was incredible, I think. And then away at Loughborough with 2 seconds left in the game, the alley-oop from Aaron to take it to overtime and absolutely break their hearts. I think they thought they got us. And it was not a great performance really in terms of the standards that we've had, in that game, for shooting percentages and all that sort of stuff, but never gave it up when I think we were all sitting at home thinking, oh my God, that the run's over, and how have we let that go? And then just to not give that up and to keep doing those fouls, getting the ball back and breaking it down, and then getting the alley-oop to take it to overtime, probably my two moments I think for the season.
I would if we're talking about player moments, then we've talked about the Charles one, we've talked about the alley-oops. I think was it I can't remember. I think it was Derby where the whole bench came on and Cavell hit a couple of 3 points late on. He was determined he was going to get them, and just the reaction from the rest of his squad and his coaching squad and the whole Storm Dome. was a standout for me because everyone was up on their feet. He's a young lad who's a very good player, but doesn't get a lot of game time. But when he comes on, and he does that, then actually everyone appreciates it, and that kind of stood out for me. That's almost like a goosebump moment, isn't it? To hear everyone, just watch everyone jump up and shout. And and then I think another standout moment, and I can't remember what game it was. One of you guys might remember, was when Jack broke the ring at halftime in the halftime warm-up.
Yes.
And that wasn't that again? That was in one of the National Cup games, I think, because the other team were trying to get the game. Like
they were trying to get it caught. It was against Sharks. I'm sure it was Sharks.
Yeah. And they've been hanging on the rim, weren't they, in the warm-up?
And then the ring that they put on was at a slight angle, wasn't it? And Storm was shooting into that ring, so they realised that they couldn't shoot from outside the arc. They had to lay up because it was just a very slight angle, which meant it wasn't. Which I think is part of the reason why the game was so close with the Sharks. But,
you're right.
That second half was horrendous. Everything was just bouncing.
Yeah, we could only score really from close, couldn't we? We changed the tactics. Yeah. I remember that. God, yeah.
And I remember Jack moaning about, like, a few weeks before that, moaning about Arian breaking the ring at a Russell Hoops camp or something.
Yeah.
Jack does it in everyone active at half time in the game. I want to see before the end of the season. I want to see Aaron do like a Shaq and just smash the whole backboard in one movement. That just maybe in the last game or something.
Let's save that for an away game. Yeah. Yeah. No, they're great shouts though. Though, Rob.
What do you reckon, Mike? What are I know Rich nicked some of them, probably the better ones or the more memorable ones. But
definitely, I think I mentioned the nutmeg quite early on in the past and in the pod, and Rich is claiming it his own there. But I think there's a couple of moments for me. If you look at a player one and a collective one, I think the collective one, not just the absolute blowout against TVC at home, but just the amount of people that were in the Storm Dome watching that game and the noise level and the atmosphere. And I think we ended up winning by 30 or 40 points or something ridiculous like that, didn't we?
More than that, wasn't it? It was 113-66.
Yeah, just phenomenal. And it was, it was the welcome back Bodie, first time playing at the Storm Dome after being there 10 years, and a couple of others that were there, and we just blew them away. And I think, again, just the atmosphere in the Storm Dome and just listening to how loud we were throughout the game was just phenomenal. And then if you look at player one, I think if you go to something more recent and a real struggle game for us against, I was lucky to go to the Solent game a couple of weeks back, and that 4-point play with the M1 from Taylor, as he almost got murdered with that spear was phenomenal. We haven't seen many moments from Taylor where he did it a lot last season, where he would get fouled or he would drop an M1, he'd get up and he'd be pumped for it. And he had that moment where he was hitting the floor, and it was just, I think that was, a standout against the others that we've already got.
I think what I've noticed as well this season is the other teams seem to want to rough Taylor up more than they did last season. There's the amount of times he's tripped up, often not seen. How one of 3 referees on a court doesn't see that, I don't know. But there's definitely a lot of knocking him over, which I didn't notice so much last year. It's almost like it's a tactic, whether they think he'll get annoyed by it or what. But as shown at Solent, it doesn't work. It goes against you. No. If you try and rough him up, it's going to go against you.
Definitely. And when you look at where you're roughing him up from or how many team fouls you're on, when you look at the stats, when I had a brief look at the weekend, and I think Taylor's got the best, if you count people that haven't had like 3 free throws or whatever, he's 84.9% conversion on his free throws this season. You don't want to foul him, because he's going to make you pay for it. And I think it's the highest in the league. Like I say, for people that have had more than 10 free throws, it's the highest percentage conversion in the league. Wow. It just goes to show that people are fouling him, but he's making the most out of it.
That was a crazy game, wasn't it? The Kestrel's game, actually. That was.
There was some interesting moments with the Maddison ejection. And just the way that game went, and we were behind, I think, in end of Q1, Q2, Q3, we were losing. And then to win the game by 5 points, 6 points, or whatever it was, I think we did in the end, was just some turnaround. We brought a good following to that game, and it was just fantastic.
They'll cause people problems in the playoffs. I think they look like they're going to make it now, right? They've from a slow start, they're playing really well, aren't they?
Yeah, I was looking at the league this morning. I think they're fifth still. I think they've got quite a tough run in their last sort of 4 games, but they are fifth, which could mean at some point in the playoffs we could meet them. Obviously, we wouldn't get them first round, but there could be that semi-final potentially.
It's amazing what they've done there this season as well. Given like they obviously had the best team over sort of the previous 3-4 years maybe, and then all change, and they've still managed. The expectation was that they might completely fall off, and I don't think they started the season very well, but they've suddenly become a really hard to beat side, haven't they? Getting some big results.
They had that big turning moment in their season. They started really badly, and I think they brought in a couple of overseas, and then they played Worthing the week after we beat them, and they beat Worthing because Worthing lost 2 in a row. Yeah, and it was Kestrel's they lost to, and I think that was Kestrel's turning point. Then they went on a big run, and I think they've beat Derby at home as well this season, haven't they?
They are still a top 4, I think, considering they've got they're just 2 points behind Reading. They can end up top 4. I think they're a good team.
Definitely.
I think if we're talking about games as well, Mike, you mentioned TVC at home. That was one of the few games I've missed this season, which was a bummer given how good you guys all said it was. But TVC away was a standout game as well. We were at half time, we were winning by, Rich, you were there as well when you put 20 points or something at half time, maybe.
And my God, that third quarter. Yeah.
We capitulated in Q3. I think we got like 9 points in Q3 or something, which is, I can't remember a Storm quarter that bad. And actually, Bode was by far their best player. He was running the game for them at that point.
He was immense. It was a definite tactical change by them. And maybe some dubious calls as well. But shall we say, it's hard to see everything right on the court. But the way they really did have a crack. Yeah, they had a good go.
Yeah, they got in front of us, didn't they? Like quite late, and then it was one of those where good teams win games even if they're not playing well, and they grind out results. And it was a bit like the Loughborough away and the Worthing away, and there's always that. TVC can become a bit more of a hostile environment. It's that kind of local derby. There's as many Storm fans in the place as there is, TVC fans. You've got Hakeem and Charles and Bernard when he was playing, who've just come from them, and Bode, Shaq have gone to them. Bode wanted to show the Storm fans that he was still a great player, which he is. And that was one of those games where you're like, that was a real high push your blood pressure type game where you're like, at half time you're thinking, and then Q3 and you're like, what's going on? So it was, that's a standout for me, because that was another one of those games where you're like, we've nicked that, but we've nicked it because we're that good,
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, the more you think about it and you start remembering the detail of some of these games. There's been so many, but that was a tight game. That was a tight game. Now TVC did a good job to make it that close, especially after half time.
We're going to have forgotten some really good moments, and there'll be people that listen to this and say, "Oh, you should have said about this bit when someone did this or this game," and
this is a bit where you say post in the comments, right? Post in the comments your favourite moments from the season.
So, but if you're listening on Spotify, you can't, so you'd have to watch on YouTube.
Can't see what I did there.
But we will have missed some, and some of the players, what the players have done. That there's been games as well, isn't there, where
Romario doesn't have a lot of game time some weeks, but he's come on and he'll sink nine points from three pointers like very quickly after coming on. Nick comes on and sort of takes over a bit from Sam in terms of the assists and stuff like that. And Teo comes on, and before you know it, he's on 12 points, or 12 rebounds. I think there was a game actually where I don't know whether he got something like 5 points, but like 14 rebounds or something like that, And we talked a lot about how good how good the moments are of some of the starting five, but there's been some exceptional points in the season from those guys as well.
I think I agree with you totally.
Yeah, and I think Teo's got our 4th highest rebounds this season, and he's not even in the starting 5. So again, that just goes to show what job he does when he comes on, and the impact he has defensively as well.
Yeah, great captain as well. Comes on, always has an impact on the game. Again, another one. Love to see him, the battles that he has in the middle there. Offensively and defensively. But just great physical presence.
He seems to be quite a calming influence as well, doesn't he? He's, they get if he's having a conversation with them, it's not emotional. It's, guys, come on, keep your heads. We've got this type. Rather than some captains who would be going, what the hell are you doing? Come on. Yeah. He's when they're in that huddle, he's the one talking, isn't he? And he's a mature head as well, isn't he? Because he's been there and done it. He's won stuff with Solent in the past, and he's great to have around.
Yeah, no, it's a great squad. When you look at the top to tail of it, it's it's solid everywhere, isn't it? It's really, really good. Bodes well for the rest of the season, which I think there's not many games left. Was it? You said 8 if
8
all goes well.
If it all goes well, there'll be 8 games left. Yeah.
So definitely 8. Let's say. Just if we can keep that same performance up, I don't know if anyone likes talking about it, but unbeaten season so far. Very different to anything that can happen in football because there's no draws. So to win every game, to have a perfect season, we're very, very close now.
Touch
wood and whether I should talk about it and all that, but
what makes it harder as well is we're looking at that unbeaten season, and obviously the unbeaten league season. When you look at what we've got to come, we've got to go away to Westminster and Newcastle, and if we win both of those, Newcastle were officially crowned league champions as well. If we win both of those, but then our last 2 games in the league are both at home against Solent and Worthing, who we've both been saying how good they are this season.
Yeah.
Is that double header or is that week after week?
It's a double header.
It's a double header.
2nd of April.
Awesome. Yeah. What a way to finish it off.
It's literally my birthday's on that Monday, so that's like an ideal weekend of watching Storm. Before my birthday.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to finish a league.
Is like you said, you'd like to think that we'll have won the league before we get to those games, but if we haven't, then that's when us as Storm fans, that noise level has to go up and help them get it over the line. But hopefully we're sitting there before them games going, okay, we've won the league. Let's just try and make sure that we win the games as well. Just keep that unbeaten season going, and then the playoffs become a lot more of a lottery, don't they? I remember when we got to the playoff final in 2018, we went to Solent in the semi-final, not expecting to beat them, and it was a hell of a result. That time. So, who knows what happens? Often the team that suddenly creeps into 8th or 7th is the team that's in form, and is and they can beat the team in 2nd place or whatever.
Well, we did that from 6th
last season,
the final.
Yeah.
6th. So
if you look at last season, wasn't it
difficult? And I think there's no complacency in that team either. And in the coaching staff as well, they'll bring it for every single opponent and prepare well, and just try and outperform them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. I think that's been a great review of where we've come to, a nice preview of what we've got coming this weekend, which would be epic, and then, you know, hopefully what's going to be an incredible end to the season. So yeah, thanks guys for your time and having a good chat about all things Storm, and we'll hopefully we'll be back with the I say hopefully, I mean we will be back victorious after the final, and we'll try and get one or two of the players to come on and have a chat about that final experience.
Definitely, yeah, it'd be good to get that perspective. We look forward to, first and foremost, I think it was Charles or Jack's Instagram live on the coach home after the Derby game, and I think thanks to Rob's message, Jack ended up singing the Boom Boom Teo song on the bus. So we'll have to see if we can get that going for the players again.
I think when we were all sitting on the bus watching Jack's Instagram story, weren't live Instagram live. We were all sitting almost next to each other on the bus watching the same thing. Seth had a few ciders, hadn't he? And
then one of the Seth's old coaches from America joined the joined the live, didn't he? Jack knows him as well, and it was just hilarious to watch that.
They were having a fantastic time, which they deserved, you know. And hopefully they're doing the same thing on Saturday night. And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks we're talking about the Worthing final in the same way we've just been talking about the Derby final. But yeah, what we've achieved already this season is phenomenal, and anything else is a bonus now. You know, coming out of a season with one trophy would have been seen as a good season at the start of it, you know. So we're still in the hunt to come out with 4. So and we're in the business end of the season. So to be in that position is, as fans, we couldn't ask for any more, could we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you mentioned there about the trophies as well, and I know we're about to wrap it up, but if you think the finals on Saturday, come the 25th of April, we could have 3 trophies in the bag. And then there's technically 1 to go, which is, I suppose, is the big one, isn't it? But 25th of April,
I feel like the big one's the league, right? Because that's the thing.
I asked Jack about it, and I said, well, you know, out of all the 4 trophies, what's the kind of pinnacle? And he said the league trophy, because it means you've been the best team over a consistent period, you know, which makes the playoffs a bit obscure if you're gonna, you know, if you've either win the league or, you know, I don't know. I find it a bit of a weird setup, that one.
It's American sports though, isn't it?
To keep it interesting till the end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So hopefully next season will be best of 7.
It's a great finale, you know. But winning the league is I think, you know, from any sport, right? That's your definition of who's the best, right? Over it. Yeah. The playoffs is icing. It's the cherry on the icing, because we've already had the icing, and we'll get some more icing on Saturday.
Where's this going? Are we turning this into a podcast now or something? I'll leave that one to you, Rish.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Yeah, well, safe travels to any Storm fans going to Surrey on Saturday. And yeah, we hope you've enjoyed listening to our podcast. And if you've got any ideas, just message us on one of our social medias or put comments in the YouTube video. And hopefully we'll be live again soon.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
See you soon.
See ya.